As Seattle police edge closer to defying the powers that be and potentially reopening the Kurt Cobain case as homicide, panic is spreading fast. Everybody is getting very, very nervous. Courtney Love's own family, they're stepping forward with startling revelations that could change everything. And Courtney herself, she's right in the thick of it, making moves, speaking out, scrambling. But first, Courtney's father Hank Harrison had deep ties to that shadowy world, linked to MKUltra experiments and the Grateful Dead scene. Courtney was raised in MKUltra, immersed from childhood. And newly declassified FBI files on Nirvana reveal that her father admitted that she was groomed by a CIA agent named Steve O'Leary. The file exposes it all. She was programmed, trained to carry out the CIA's orders. Her mission? Infiltrate the music world and flood the scene with thousands of hits of new mind-altering drugs. The agency wanted control over the culture, the rebellion, the artists. She handed them out like candy, just as her handlers demanded. Given her MKUltra background, it was no surprise that she was ruthless about breaking into Hollywood. And she found the ultimate shortcut to the top, whatever the cost. We're talking the darkest deal in the world, paid for in the industry's preferred currency, the blood of trafficked children. Her own father, Hank Harrison, reveals that Courtney told him she was trafficking children for Epstein. He says, quote, "The crimes are 10 times worse and 100 times more numerous and degenerate than you can imagine. The New Mexico Zorro Ranch is bad. The victims were worn out, and they would simply be taken to the desert and buried or taken to sea, weighed down and dumped overboard." And a whistleblower revealed the full horror of what this means. Courtney was eating child meat with Hollywood elites as long ago as the early 90s. When a horrified Kurt discovered the truth, his days were numbered.
Courtney's ties aren't just to Epstein's sex ring, they're a cult. She's part of that shadow elite, the ones who dabble in the profane to justify their depravity. It's a religion to them, a way to transcend morality. And the cannibalism, that's the heart of it, the unspeakable core that even Epstein's emails only hint at. I saw all the evidence, pieced together from cursed journals that hadn't been released in full. He wrote about it obsessively in his final months, fragments of madness that we tried to use as evidence of duress in the will contest. One night, high on whatever cocktail Courtney fed him, mushrooms laced with heroin or something, he stumbled into a private room at one of her parties. There she was, surrounded by the occult inner circle. The big money guys, A-list directors, even a senator whose name I'd be killed for mentioning. All the people he hated. And they were feasting, not on caviar or foie gras, but on flesh. Human flesh. Courtney, at the center, delicately slicing into what Kurt described as a small, pale limb, a baby's arm, roasted like veal. He thought it was a hallucination at first, the drugs warping his mind. She let him believe that, toyed with him for months. "You're losing it, darling," she'd whisper, gaslighting him until he questioned his own sanity. Therapy sessions organized by her, doctors on her payroll, all reinforcing that it was just a bad trip. But he pieced it together eventually. He started digging, confronting her in rages that left bruises on both sides. That's when he realized the truth. They all do it.
And if this already sounds insane, buckle up. The agent of chaos herself, Courtney Love, just made it wilder. When she caught wind that Candace Owens was digging in, she didn't hide. She reached out and fired off a book-length email. In it, admissions she never made publicly before. Her CIA background, MKUltra programming as a child, and the bombshell. Kurt was taken out in a CIA operation. As you watch this, ask yourself, how much of it is raw truth and how much clever misdirection? Because one thing is clear. If you've got skeletons this deep, the last person you want on your trail is Candace Owens launching a 20-part deep dive.
Back in January of this year, someone notified me that Courtney Love wanted to reach out to me. I made contact with her. It was because she had been watching my podcast and she knew that I was obsessed with the book Chaos. Courtney Love told me so much information. In January of this year, it was like she basically wrote me a novel. I couldn't process it. It was information overload. And if she had sent that to anybody but me, someone would have looked at this information and said, oh, this is just crazy. So while I personally did not understand the nature of what goes on inside of Hollywood, I did start to understand it after everything happened with Ye. She explained to me that she was a toddler and she was experimented on at the Haight-Ashbury Clinic. For those of you, Haight-Ashbury, it's the intersection where they had this clinic and the hippies came, and this is when the CIA was just dosing them intentionally because they wanted to understand how to control minds. Courtney, who's writing a book on this, so I'm not exposing anything, told me that she was given LSD at this age. This is how she grew up. She grew up in this area. And she told me, I did not kill Kurt Cobain. That was a part of a psychological operation to make the masses look away from what the CIA was guilty of. And she then told me through a lot of messages that at the core of all of this is ownership. The best way to understand it is that when companies or individuals get too big and become too powerful, they send their agents to control them, to make sure that they are able to control their messaging. And if they cannot control those individuals, they will stage some sort of a hostile takeover of that brand or of that company or of that particular person. And there's a number of ways that can be accomplished. First and foremost, the psychosis. She's having a mental breakdown. She needs a break. She's really tired. Britney's been put on a Psych 5150 hold. Kanye, he said he was just reading a Bible, and Harley Pasternak, and we got into his backstory, and MK Ultra suddenly puts him in a hospital on a Psych 5150 hold, and somehow his wife, I guess, was cool with that. Another way that they accomplish this is via lawfare. They will bankrupt you. And Michael Jackson, despite the fact that he was beating Sony, he was owning his own catalog and almost owned the Beatles catalog. And that's when they swept in and they took down Michael Jackson. He died broke, right? And the people who he was fighting owned his catalog.
If you're doing your own research, digging into dangerous topics like these, you're not safe. You need to make yourself invisible online. Remember vp.net/TPV. It's fast unhackable, and Israel and the global elites will never gain access to your data. In 2026, this can be the difference between life and death. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the global elites, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel on Rumble and YouTube, follow me on X, and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive news and member-only content. 2026 is going to be a huge year. Get on board.